What's good, everybody? It's your boy Jo3.b.1, and welcome to the Light of the Jedi Podcast right here on the Fan Force Alliance channel. And I am joined with my good friend and fellow Fan Force Alliance member, Jedi Rogar. Sir, how you doing today, man?
How's it going? How's it going, Joby? Doing
Man,
good.
I'm doing good too, man. I'm really excited about the Acolyte, and obviously we had a very interesting episode, and we're going to get into that, a little bit later down the line, because that's some really kind of juicy material. We kind of want to save that for when we get there, right? So, but the first thing we wanted to talk about, and which shout out to Anakin Crespin, man, our guy in the chair, the guy that is helping kind of keep us on track with everything, and he makes us a really nice outline to kind of keep us on point. And the first thing we're going to talk about here today is the Star Wars Outlaws release. They dropped they showed some of the gameplay off, and we got a new trailer and stuff. So I know you do a bit of gaming, and so I'd love to hear kind of your thoughts. Like I know you kind of told me a little bit about it before the podcast started, but I'm curious, if you'll give us a little detail about how you feel about it.
Yeah, man. I actually, it looks really good. So I saw a little bit of gameplay. They recently dropped more. I think it was like 2 videos that they dropped. There was recent for it. It looked really good. And then they went into like a little bit of the features, how you're doing your aiming, your selecting who you're going to be firing at, some of the weapons, some of the vehicles, and then a little bit of in between. So it looks really good. I'm a little hyped for it. I'm not as hyped as I was for, like, say, Jedi Survivor, but I mean the idea of it, and then it's supposed to be a larger world. So we'll see. I know there's still some talk on like the different tiers of the game that you can get. So I'm still kind of looking into that, and I'm hoping to see some good stuff as far as pricing and then upgrades and expansions for it. So
Yeah,
really good.
I'm not like a huge gamer, but I mean, and I'm gonna turn my camera off for just a second. I'm not like a huge gamer, but I am definitely intrigued by the open world aspect of it because, when I was younger, I was a little bit, I played a little bit of some of the open world games that were out and the massive multiplayer online games and stuff. And those were always really fun to me because you can kind of like be anonymous there for a little while and just kind of like, go check out different things and the scenery and the game itself and the world. And
that's what I like about open world, because then that, honestly, sometimes the story doesn't even matter to me. I'll just go I'm like, oh, what's this over here? And I mean, that's how you find a lot of stuff too, though. But
so like so back in the day, man, this will probably date me a little bit, and that's okay. It's all right. There was a couple of games that were pretty big. Like, of course, everybody knows World of Warcraft. I think everybody plays that. Like, I didn't play it. Like, I never like dug into it, but I tried it out for a few weeks, and like that was the aspect of it that I found more entertaining than, like, let's say, like going on some mission or whatever. Like, I was more entertained by the like walking around and seeing these waterfalls and cliffs and like random animals coming up trying to kill me, and like, it was just kind of fun, like, to like experience this different universe. And so, like, to think about it and thinking about Star Wars, it kind of excites me. So same way with like Jedi Survivor. I remember when that dropped, I swore I was I'm gonna go out and buy a new system right now, and I still haven't done it, but eventually I will, man. And y'all can stop giving me a hard time about it, So, but yeah, so I know we're gonna cover it between you. I'm sure you'll try it, and I'm sure that Anakin will try it, and who knows, maybe the twins will jump on it. Ryan may try it out, and I'll get to live kind of vicariously through you guys' experience, and I can ask y'all lots of annoying questions about it, and then check out videos on YouTube and stuff. But I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys think.
I wanna see what's up with the ship fights and ship battles and flying the ship around.
Yeah.
Exciting ship, and I'm still kind of curious if you get to fly anything out in it. But it looked pretty cool, so I can't wait for that one.
Yeah, yeah, and I think it'll be neat. I mean, who knows? Maybe it'll push me over the edge. I do eventually want to get a system, another system, and kind of start touching into gaming. But it's something that I want to ease myself back into, so that way I don't turn into a competitive gamer or something. Because me, man. I mean, being the hip hop Jedi, obviously I come from like being involved in hip hop, and there's a lot of competition, a lot of drive to hustle and all that type of stuff. And so like that aspect takes over even in gaming. Like on 2K, nobody could touch me on 2K, even though people would occasionally beat me, very
John,
occasionally.
where you at,
You
man?
know, it, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? But anyway, so the now that we've kind of talked about the new game coming out, and obviously my how I feel about the game and how you feel about the game. Something that we're both can be excited about is that there have been some drops, some Black Series and Vintage Collection, and even Retro Collection drops recently. So, did you get a chance to see some of those? And which
I
one stuck out to you? And what are your thoughts, man?
I think he's still sold out on Pulse, but I'm still. I know you already got him, but I'm still excited. I think he should be here pretty soon. I think it's like Monday, but Monday is one of the ones that I was pretty excited about that I still haven't gotten. He's the last of the wave that has released, but as far as like the pre-orders right now, so they've got what OSHA. So we have OSHA in 6 inch, and then we have OSHA in three and
The
three.
3 3/4, yeah.
We also have her in the Holocron collection.
And May, they did a May holocron too.
Oh, they did. They did. I
Yeah.
actually that one. That's a good one.
So and that might be interesting.
I'm still on the fence with those two. The one that you said you might be interested in though. Didn't for the Holocron?
Well, I mean, the ones that I would want is the Ezra that came out. Because I felt like, first of all, it's a he's gonna have his lightsaber, and so when that thing lights up, if you have it pointed kind of downwards, the light will travel up it a little bit, and it gives it a kind of a cool effect. And so that's one that I'll probably pick up. And the fact that he was actually a hologram looking like that, and we have a figure of him for was that the last season of Rebels slash when
Yeah,
Sabine saw him on that holopuck. So I mean
right.
that one I'll probably grab it. You know what I mean? I imagine that they'll stay in stock almost everywhere. Like I won't struggle to get it, but that's the one I'm most excited about to get from that run. So, and I know, shout out to Ryan Speaks Geek. I know he'll be happy about the 5 POA retro collection set too.
Oh yeah.
And it looks pretty cool, man. I mean, I like how those sets make me want to collect that line for some reason. And like,
That's
I know it's another rabbit hole, but we'll see. Maybe later, man. Do you have any figures like that? Like, do you have any of the older style, like 5 POA, or any like Power of the Force or Power of the Jedi style?
No, I was entertaining the droidica from Light of the Jedi. That
Oh,
one.
the other 6 inch one, dude. I mean, it looks pretty cool, man. But I think they're pretty expensive.
They are. They're.
Uh,
I think they're still rocking around $120 or so. So yeah,
man, I think I just order another droidica for the shelf. I think I'll just get another Black Series version.
yeah. Yeah.
But I thought, I mean, those are some good drops, though. I mean, not everybody's gonna like everything that came out, but there is something for a little bit of everybody in those drops. So, I
Now
mean, I think it's good. It's good overall. Hopefully, it helps the line. Hopefully, it helps things.
I'm already
So,
I'm already committed with the Acolyte run. So I
yeah,
mean,
I've got most of those on pre-order. I did put in a pre-order for OSHA. And I did get a pre-order in for May also. Um, and I pre-ordered Palpatine, and I finally pulled the trigger on that one.
I missed that
So
one.
the prequels one.
Yeah.
I got you. I'll shoot you. You already know, bro. I keep some. I keep them. I keep. It might ship a little late, but I keep the homies in the back. Uh, who was shout out to the people who got you your Kiadi Mundi, man. I mean, it might have been a little late, but
Five. Red 5.
Red 5, yeah, that's right. But they got it. And I always, you
Yeah.
know, I'm like a sleuth when it comes to finding these these smaller companies out there, but it's fun.
The funny thing is too about Red 5, which I found out, is he's actually up in Mass. He's pretty close to Springfield, Mass, which I used to work in Springfield, Mass, and
Okay.
I used to live pretty close up and work up there. So I thought that was pretty cool. So I chatted with him. He got back to me quickly. Yeah, Red 5, they're up in Mass. Believe he's got a link through shop as well. So that's pretty cool. But yeah,
For sure, man. For sure. And that's awesome. You finally got Kiadi Mundi, man. I'm glad you got him. That's an awesome figure, bro. It is a really great figure. And
yeah,
Black Series doesn't get everything exactly right, man. But they dropped some really great ones that make collecting the line, especially for the price point. To me, man, it's hard to
we've
I don't
been
know if I could be like a what's the next one? Like the big ones, I don't know if I could go that far, man. It's just, it's a tough one. And plus, you don't get the character selection, in some of those higher end lines. But anyways, man. Moving on to the big thing, because I know this is gonna take up the majority of our time, because you know how we are, bro. That's why us being on a podcast has to have an outline, because we will be here talking for 6.5 hours, theorizing about the smallest little thread, and I know that there are people aren't gonna like I use the word thread, but that's okay. That's okay. We're gonna move on to talking about the Acolyte, and episode 3 was really interesting. I really enjoyed it. I know there's a lot of speaking of. There's a lot of discourse going on about this episode, about this series in general, and we might touch on that in a minute. But I will say that I was really intrigued, and I felt it was like kind of it was refreshing almost to kind of get Star Wars being told in like this different way. Like,
yeah.
we're getting this kind of this is the very beginning of like a multi-narrative, story. And I'm really excited because I know that there's going to be other angles that we're going to be told this story, and seeing this through the eyes of OSHA in this almost innocent and kind of like idealistic light, was just super it was super interesting to me. But I know we've kind of talked about a little bit off show, but I want you to dive into a little bit and tell me some of the things that stuck out the most to you, what you liked, maybe something that, something you didn't like so much. If it's in there, throw it out there. I'm interested, man, because I know you'll have some good thoughts on that.
So to touch bases with what you were just talking about there, through OSHA's eyes. So what I can't wait for, and what's eating me right now, is see now it's got me like almost biting at the bit for the meat and potatoes, right? So we've got all of these variables that can happen right now. So now I want to see from OSHA's or not OSHA's from May's point of view. So I want to see because she was outside the door. She wasn't locked in the room. She didn't have to crawl out through a vent and get down through a service well, like sneak her way out while all this stuff was falling apart. So that's like, but I'm not sure if we're going to get that just yet. I still think they're going to wait a little bit. So I'm kind of curious whose perspective we're with the next episode. So I don't know. I'm pretty excited. And as far as the episode itself, I know it's getting, I know you kind of touched that briefly. It's getting a lot of flack for a lot of different reasons. Look, man, it's Star Wars. It's a whole galaxy, so like, there's different viewpoints from every aspect. And if you're alright with aliens, like, I really don't understand. But anywho, I felt it had decent merit. I would have liked to see them dive a little bit more into certain areas of it. But overall, I think it was pretty good, and I liked the different perspective. I wish we could have still gotten a little bit of like now time, the
Yeah.
beginning, maybe towards the end. That I would say was probably the only thing that really like threw me off just a little bit. So I was like, oh, okay, because I was ready to get back to it, and I was like, oh, damn it, I gotta wait. I'm like, damn it.
Yeah. I mean, but I think part of the thing is that so much of what we, um, current, whatever you want to call it now in that show, so much of what we're seeing
It's
about what, the question mark is always going to be there until we look back. And there's three, here's the thing. There's an old saying, there's three ways, there's three sides to every story. There's their side, there's my side, and there's the truth,
happened.
you
It
know?
happened.
And like the Bendu in a sense, you know what I mean? And the middle is somewhere where the truth is, you know what I mean? And so I think that's kind of like the most intriguing part about this, and it's to me it's a classic storytelling narrative style that you don't see in Star Wars. Like Star Wars is usually kind of like strictly the hero's journey, or like, and later what's crazy is that everybody, the thing that people love about Mandalorian so much is like you're getting this kind of like, you know, dad and son post-apocalyptic western, like it's kind of what's, I mean, not exactly, but that's kind of the vibe of the story. And the Acolyte's completely different. So, but anyways.
When it dropped, it was kind of like post-apocalyptic times. I mean, we had COVID running around. Everybody was like, "Oh, stay away from me."
That's true, man. That is true.
I had
And
a
it
lot
gave
of
us something, it gave us all something to latch onto. I mean, think about it this way, like at during that time, everybody was latched onto their TV watching The Mandalorian and watching The Tiger King. And everyone was like absolutely swearing by both of those shows. And so I'm at that time we were just latching on to anything that could give us entertainment because of we couldn't go out, man. We needed to see this stuff. And so uh
what
I
happened.
think that can I think that can make the lens that you're watching something through look different,
Oh yeah,
and there might be an element of that to Mandalorian season 3. A lot of people really didn't care for it, and how much of that is because we're not just clamoring for, please give me something to watch because I haven't left my house in 8 weeks, like, and I mean, now we're spoiled and, everyone's being kind of picky about Acolyte, and Mandalorian season 3 or Book of Boba Fett. When, you know, I'm not saying the Book of Boba Fett is classic cinema, or that the Acolyte is like Alfred Hitchcock or something. I'm just saying that it's entertaining, it's enjoyable, it's not bad. It's, to me, it's good. But like I told you in one of our, we were just talking yesterday that I like one of my favorite movies of all time is Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, and it's a great movie, but it's not fine cinema. You know what I mean? It's and so I'm not a movie critic. I just can say that I like good stuff. I like things that to me seem good and seem fun, and that to me is what Acolyte is. And you know, um, not everybody's having that journey, and that's is what it is. And we can talk about that seriously all day, man. We have talked about that all day, Rob. We have.
We
Um, but some of the questions that Anakin had kind of set up for us were interesting, and I don't want to just kind of breeze by them and stuff, because I want to make sure we touch on some of them. And one of them was like, uh, what did we think of Mother Anastasia and her clan, her coven? And what do we think about their interpretation of the Force, as a thread? You know, um, how did you feel about their coven and their view of the Force and stuff? Like,
okay.
how did it hit you? Did it make you feel like, I don't know, this doesn't feel right? Or were you like, did
I
you
mean,
understand its
like,
place? Or
I did understand its place. So, like, all right, first off, it's vast, right? So, even in what Ahsoka we're getting into, well, that's not in this galaxy, that's in the next galaxy. You know what I mean? So it's like there's still so much that is not even touched as far as content goes, in that particular sense. So I mean, come on, man. There's infinite possibilities of a whole lot of different worlds that operate a whole lot different from each other in a different area. Like, I mean, like, there's every variable that you could possibly think of as far as in my mind. You know what I mean? There's something where there's a planet that we're all men. There's a planet that are all women. There's a planet that are whatever kind of alien species that there is out there. Anything that you can possibly think of, there's a planet for that. Those planets look different.
well, okay, so real quick, man, not to interrupt, but so yeah, you can always tell when I'm going to say something that I think is probably going to ruffle some feathers, because I'm already picturing it in my head, and I tell on myself for that. But look, the truth of the matter is, okay, in the '90s, Star Trek: The Next Generation. Okay, I know that isn't Star Wars, and for some of you guys, that'll be heresy to even talk about. But look, seriously, in the '90s, Star Trek: The Next Generation had an episode where Commander Riker was on some mission, and essentially there was people on the ship that had a third gender. So they had males, they had females, and they had a non-binary progenitor. And 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 people, and what I'm saying is that it's kind of crazy to me that there's so much talk about this witch coven, that they didn't even really overtly, it wasn't like this was some kind of a like, they were just the mothers of this coven, Osha and May's mothers, like they were the mothers.
Like,
And
check it out.
I,
So,
I don't, and so to me, it's like, it's not, it shouldn't be a big deal, because it's just a storytelling uh, piece, and it helps tell the story of how these twins are coming about and how they came to be. So and that's why I brought it up, because Star Trek was doing that same type of storytelling. That it's like this part, the part about the non-binary progenitor didn't really matter, because it was an important part of the story, in the sense that it helped tell the story that they're trying to tell. So nobody outside of the Star Trek world was like, this show's trying to put stuff and make me think and blah blah blah, because it wasn't a big deal because it helped tell the story. And it's the same thing with this series.
Yeah.
It helps tell the story, and so it just seems manufactured. Like the anger and the ugly talk online just seems manufactured to
So
me. But that's just
what
me, man. And who knows?
what I take from it, honestly, what I did take from it from get go is, oh shit, all right, well, is this the beginning of cloning? Is this how it starts? Like, what happened there? Exactly how did you get them? If it's not the same, they weren't born of the Force. Okay, so what did you do that was different? That you were able to clone or create from whatever these Force using beings, these twins. Like, how did you do that? Is this something that eventually Plagueis hears about? And is that how that whole thing starts with him? Is that how, I mean, did the Kaminoans hear something about it? Is that
Well,
why?
I mean, so to touch on what you're talking about, sorry to interrupt, man. I'm
Huh?
sorry. I'm terrible about that. I apologize. But the the they kind of they kind of, I think what the Kaminoans were doing was technological slash biological. You know what I mean? Like, it's a biological process. They're using technology to kind of facilitate, and the struggle with that Palpatine, when he discovered what the Kaminoans were doing, he was like, I want to figure out how to make another me and put the Force in it, so that way I can just transfer my consciousness using this known Sith technique of transferring consciousness. But I, I, I think it's literally like what I don't know if we were talking about this when we were talking about this earlier, but I literally think it's like the precursor to the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's like the they're obvious Force users. They're not calling it the Force. They don't necessarily use the Force like the Jedi do, and they obviously have some kind of religious kind of view towards it. Just differing from how the Jedi do it. Who also have a religious view of the Force, and so um, I wonder if, they're either were kind of told to experiment in this way by, Tenebris, or, because Plagueis, I think if we're talking, I think all this stuff is non-canon, but, some of the Plagueis stuff anyway, but, uh, I think in this time frame by their numbers, he would be like teenager age, or something like that. And so, I wonder if this is happening just before Plagueis is becoming Tenebris's um, apprentice. That's just a hard Tenebris apprentice. That's hard to say. Uh, but but you know what I'm saying? I kind of wonder if it's taking place just before Plagueis, and
Right,
you
right.
know, and Plagueis is learning this because Tenebris maybe was working for having these witches work for him, or
So,
maybe that's why they were exiled, because they were working with the Sith and they were no longer associated with the Dathomir witches, because they decided to align with Tenebris or something. Who
now
knows?
when Sifo-Dyas would be around, which was my other.
No, that's Sifo-Dyas was
I
like only about, because Sifo-Dyas died like 10 years. When did they find him? Who found him? It was they went on a little quest on Clone Wars, right, to go find him, and they found his lightsaber and all that stuff. It's been so long since I watched Clone Wars, so
I've got,
uh,
and it's been a little
I'm
while.
I'm gonna have to rewatch it. But there was a whole like arc. There was a whole story arc about about it. And so like he had died, like he was alive like when Qui-Gon was alive, for instance. Like Qui-Gon was like a Padawan, and Dooku was, you know, a little was younger, kind of like Tales of the Jedi, that kind of era.
We
You know,
see
but
Dooku erase the plans for the map for Kamino.
but because he, because that was kind of his whole, because
His
it's like same thing with Plagueis. Like Plagueis was alive during the Phantom Menace. You know, Plagueis was alive or right before Phantom Menace. Like, you
well,
know, uh,
he
um,
is the killer, I believe. Yeah.
so like Maul happened, and Phantom Menace and all that stuff happened. Like that was Plagueis had just like, Chancellor Palpatine had just kind of overtaken Plagueis during all that. So for him to be kind of having that conversation like 10 years later too, which is crazy. Like, have you ever heard the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise? Like yeah, I killed him in his sleep, and now I'm telling it like it's a legendary story. Like how like uh how like 1930s mobster is that, bro? Like, but
Absolutely.
anyways, getting a little off track there. But this is a Star Wars podcast, so you can expect that. That's just kind of what we do. Um, the Let's see, we kind of talked about that naturally. We kind of went through a lot of those same topics. Oh, what do you think? Oh yeah, so there is the whole thing. That's right. Anakin didn't bring this up, and he was saying like, um, where Anakin was created in the Force, or created by the Force in response to Palpatine and Plagueis trying to corrupt the Force in Legends. Like, and obviously that's not canon, but there is the fact that that's a little bit different than what how Osha and May were created, in some kind of using the dark side of the Force, but in more of their style of, their witches style. Oh, I lost I lost Rogar. Hopefully he bounces back here. All right, so we lost Rogar there for a second, but we got him back. But pretty much we went over just about most of the talking points for the Acolyte and everything that we had in our handy dandy Anakin Crespin patent outline for the podcast here. So, is there anything else that you wanted to touch on? Like, for instance, do you have any predictions for the next episode? Like, what do you think we might see? What are you hoping we see, man? What are your thoughts on that?
So, there's a few things that we haven't seen that I know already were leaked, and I keep like half blindering it. I know we're gonna be getting the Acolyte. It's coming. We're gonna see the character. We're gonna get a little close up and what's going on. We're gonna get some
Do you
stable.
think that's coming? That's coming this episode?
I, it's hard to tell. So I think we're either gonna get a different perspective, or we're gonna get something a little bit of what's going on now. I hope it's something that's a little bit that's going on now, just so we can like kind of get into a nice suspenseful
So
forward
there's
progression.
that there's that thing from the trailer though, where like you see like Kelnaka launching through the air with his lit lightsaber, diving straight at Padawan Torben, like, and his eyes look like they're all blacked out. I seen a picture, someone had like zoomed in on it, and his eyes looked all blacked out. So like from the trailers, we should infer that there's going to be, we're getting ready to be shown something else. And I'm thinking that they can't move on in the story for what's happening right now until we nail down everything that happened now in the past. Like now that we're in the past, I mean, they could shoot back to right now and then go back again, and I'd be cool with that too. but I'm wondering if they're just gonna like continue, but we'll see. We'll have to see. Maybe next week, we'll see Kelnaka being hunted by May
Well,
and Osha and them trying to stop it.
that would actually make the most sense because that's where she's going. That would be a good cutscene. So we're going from Osha to May, and that would be now getting
Then,
back in.
then they can use that episode to lead into the next episode being, okay, let's see May's point of view of what went down at the Witch's Coven, and that's what, yeah, I could see that. I could see that, bro, for sure. And I'd be totally down for that, bro. I'm ready to see what happened back then, though, man. Like, that's why I'm like kind of hoping that they stick there. But
Well,
honestly, the way they're telling the story, though, they may have to set it up a little bit.
she has two left, man. She's gotta take one of them out with no weapon, and I don't know if she can do that with Konaka. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That'd be a tough one. Uh, that's they're way stronger. Way, and who knows what obviously they got pretty good force abilities to be able to like yank that rifle out of that dude's hand. And they're clearly still very strong. They
Yeah.
just snap that thing in half like a stick. Yeah. Just like we would do with a branch, like we find whenever we're a kid. Like they're just like with a blaster, it's supposed to go through war, bro. Like, but yeah, so I definitely want to see more of him for sure. But yeah, so the next episode of the Light of the Jedi podcast is going to be on June 22nd, and we will definitely be discussing, episode 4 of the Acolyte. And if you aren't in our group on Facebook, it is called the Hip Hop Jedi. Definitely come check us out and hang out. We've got a great growing community there. We're very interactive, posting lots of pictures and stuff like that. And yeah, make sure you're checking us all out on social media. You can find all of us on Facebook, including myself, Jo3.b.1, Jo3.b.1. You got Jedi Rogar. He is on Instagram and YouTube. You have the Jedi Twins. You can find them on YouTube and Facebook. And Anakin Crespin is all over our group and handling our YouTube channel and helping us with the podcast, keeping us on point with our schedules, and keeping us up to date with what's going on in case we miss it. So big shout out to him. And Orion Speaks Geek. We appreciate you, bro, and we can't wait to work on some stuff with you soon. Guys, again, I've been your host, Jo3.b.1. This is the Light of the Jedi podcast, and we appreciate you for joining us. Why don't we go ahead and bring Rogar in real quick one more time so he can say bye to you guys. Jedi Rogar, why don't you go ahead and tell the people bye and tell them where they can find you real quick.
Hope everybody enjoys the next one. Kind of curious what we're going to see. But until next time, you can reach me at Instagram, Jedi_Rogar, or YouTube, Jedi Rogar. Yeah, plan on getting some custom stuff out. I'll be trying to work on this guy.
Oh,
Right
nice.
here. So that's my next project coming up after I'm done with a few things. But definitely check us out, guys. Together we are Fan Force Alliance, Jedi Twins, Anakin Crespin, Jo3.b.1, and myself, Jedi Rogar. Have a good one, guys.
Guys, we appreciate you. Much love, and may the force be with you. Yeah, this is the Light of the Jedi podcast. We'll see you next time.